Hi, it's Kevin May from PhocusWire here in the PhocusWire studio in association with Pros at the London Aviation Festival, here with Kieron Branagan, the CEO of OpenJaw Technologies. Thank you for joining us, Kieron.
You're welcome, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay, so a couple of things to talk about. There's a couple of announcements, which we'll get through those first.
Okay.
So the first one, you've done a deal with 15 Below,
Yeah.
which is the kind of the disruption management people.
Yeah.
Just tell us how kind of your worlds are colliding to do that product.
So it's interesting. We've been working with 15 Below for about a year now, across a number of opportunities, and there's actually a really good synergy between the two businesses. So 15 Below are into notification, into sort of IROPS, sort of sending outbound communications to disrupted customers. But what's interesting is that our T-Social platform allows those travelers, those customers, to use social media platforms to talk to automated agents, using AI, using chatbot, using integration into the sort of back end of the airline systems. So in effect, what you've got is you've got a lot of disruption going on, you've got a lot of really good messaging, but now you have servicing at scale that we can help with T-Social.
Okay.
So we sort of effectively remove from most of the engagements the physical human agent. So no wait times.
Okay, so it's T-Social. How does it fit in with the rest of what you do? Because it's everything, isn't it?
So there's three platforms. So the original platform is T-Retail, and we have continued to invest in that. I mean, that's been there for a long time. We've got T-Data, which is the customer data platform, and then we've got T-Social, and then we've got some derivative products that help support all of that. And I think what you see using those three platforms is the ability to retail across the full customer journey. Mm-hmm. So if you look at T-Retail, it's all around selling the core sort of seats on aircraft. It's around selling the in-flight ancillaries, the ground ancillaries, so hotels and cars, transfers, insurance, the really, really sort of good things with margins. And then also to be able to dynamically bundle all of those things together to the end user across, at airline.com or through NDC, which is, of course, increasingly important.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, something that I've always been intrigued about with the retailing kind of movement, if we can call it that, is how switched on both strategically and technically are airlines in order to do what you would like them to do?
Yeah. I think they're getting more and more switched on. I mean, we've got some, sort of key brand airlines, like British Airways, Cathay Pacific, for example, ANA, which is a recent announcement this year. And that kind of shows you the Western airlines taking the sort of retailing approach. So the core seat is just such a low margin sale. And if you can complement that with high value ancillaries, such as insurance or hotels, it actually makes a big impact to the overall itinerary that the customer has booked. You also see this in China, where it's a very price sensitive market driven through largely OTA channels. So the airlines are making a comeback in terms of being able to sell hotels along with the flights and dynamic packaging, etc.
So, would it be fair to say that even an airline like British Airways, perhaps in the past, wasn't completely sold on the idea of retailing? I'm thinking of one of your compatriots who's fairly senior at IAG. I've heard him say he was fairly sceptical about retailing in the past. What is it has switched at an organisation like that, for example, rather than specifically talking about BA and IAG?
So what you see is, there is, I suppose, a leap of faith in terms of will this actually deliver value for the airline. The airlines that have been really successful have tried one thing, and that is they put the retailing experience at the front of their website, on the shop front. Mm-hmm. So it isn't a sort of a link that you must find somewhere, it is actually front and center. So when you go onto that airline website, it's not just the seat anymore, it's the full itinerary that's possible to sell to the traveler. And some of those airlines, have seen tremendous returns. They've invested heavily, but they have seen really significant returns. And it's an excellent sort of system for selling a lot of the seats on aircraft. And I know those airlines, they can basically say attribution analysis, these seats that we sold were because we had these ancillaries and hotels. Okay.
Now, you the other bit of news this week, you just signed Shandong Airlines in the Far East. Yeah. What is it, you referenced China a couple of moments ago. What is it in particular about those airlines? Yeah. Because you've got a lot of Chinese customers. Obviously, there's a corporate connection to that part of the world as well. What is it that they're doing that's perhaps different from other airlines around the world, do you think?
So our connection with China, just so that people understand, is that in 2012 we had an alliance agreement with TravelSky. And they effectively licensed our retailing platform for Chinese airlines. And in China at that point, airlines had largely sort of evolved their own e-commerce platforms. They were all very unique and very difficult to maintain. And you were all just selling a seat. TravelSky came with a vision that they wanted to have an industry standard retailing platform for China, which they would deploy through a partnership with OpenJaw, and then give the airlines the ability to compete more effectively against the likes of Ctrip, for example. Then in 2016, we were acquired by TravelSky. So now we have obviously a very close channel relationship into the China market. So today we've got 12 airlines that are live or about to be live in China on the retailing platform. So they've seen a shift. And airlines are just really struggling in terms of the price sort of sensitive displays on OTAs, which is just driving their sort of bottom line. It's not great.
Okay. Before we came on air, we were talking a little, and you referenced just a moment ago about standards and things like that. I mean, we were discussing, previously standards were actively promoted by one organisation, and now IATA, for example, seems to have kind of grabbed that ball by the horns. I mean, two-part question. And one, do you think they're the right people to do it, or do you think the progress that they're making is to the speed in which you would hope it to be?
So I mean, I've worked in software for over 30 years now. And I've seen various waves, sort of the corporate space in terms of distributed computing, and then in travel it was all around OTA and XML. And I suppose I looked at all of these organizations, and they seem to have this average lifetime of about 10 years, and they do an amazing amount of work. So something new comes, industry participants gather, and then they develop sort of common standards. It's really good, and those common standards, of course, release value from kind of like creative destruction in certain business models. Interestingly, where we're at today is, of course, it's now NDC, and in the future it's around one order. And I would have been skeptical that a standard such as NDC and distribution could have been taken by IATA and driven, but I admire them. It's been a phenomenal investment that they have made, and they actually have now brought NDC into prime time in the industry, which is amazing.
Do you think what you do and what you would like airlines to do going forward could be done without NDC?
I do think, as in all industries, you need a standard. That standard basically gives, a sort of critical mass to an industry. And it basically allows an ecosystem to be developed where there's competition, healthy competition, there's innovation. So without NDC, I just don't see those changes coming. So many airlines now want to do a direct connect to their distributors and to their customers, and NDC is the way to go.
Okay, Kieron Branagan from OpenJaw, thank you very much.
All right, thanks very much.